All right, y'all. So I'm basically kind of starting to record, kind of go back and record some of our notes, just so if you kind of wanted to go back and review this before our test, which is the Friday, October 29th, then you guys can go ahead and do that here. So we're going to just start at the beginning here. This is the classifying and simplifying polynomial expressions. We'll kind of breeze through the first part and get to like the adding and subtracting and multiplying part later. So just to start off with, just remember, you have your vocabulary here. I'm not going to really go too deep into this. Biggest things to remember is just degree and leading coefficient, just so we know what those, what that vocab is, and also what a constant is as well. Just again, so we have that, so we know that. So first off, just kind of going through, the stuff down below here, the number of terms. Well, again, number of terms, anything separated by an addition or subtraction sign. So this, and then you have a subtraction sign here, then this, then a addition, sorry, then subtraction here, then this, then addition, then this, then subtraction, then this, and then subtraction, and then this. So if you count all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you're left with 6 terms. Again, the term is literally everything that is separated by addition subtraction. All right, so it can be 8, it could be just a number, it could be a variable with an exponent, it could be a variable without an exponent, like maybe this x right here, or it could be just the number and the variable together. So looking at the degree, again, that's just the highest exponent, the largest exponent that is in your expression. We look at our exponents. 4, no exponent by the x is just an exponent of 1. 4 is that's the second power. 7, 13 with no variable, that basically is that's just no exponent, so we don't even worry about that. And then an exponent of 3. Obviously, the highest exponent here is the degree of 7. So kind of write that down this way. And the leading coefficient is the number that is in front of the term of the highest degree. So basically, your degree and your leading coefficient basically go hand in hand here. And I'm going to erase some stuff here, just kind of the stuff underneath it. There we go. So what is our degree? The x7. Well, let's look at the number that's in front of that x7 to get what the leading coefficient is. If we look out here, well, there's no number out there, but remember, no number out in front of our variable is just the number 1. So our leading coefficient is the number 1. Not a very good 1. I'll just write it out here. It's literally the number 1. And then constant, again, up here, that's the number without a variable next to it. It's basically just some number without a variable. So if we look at our constant, well, it's 13, but it's also minus 13. So our constant is going to be a negative 13. All right. So again, so those are our terms, degrees, leading coefficient, constant. Again, make sure you know those terms and know them well. Okay. So basically, here's some more vocabulary, monomial, binomial, constant, linear, quadratic. I would say this over here, this stuff right here, this is probably the more important stuff to know. This is good to know over on the other side over here, but probably this stuff over here as well. I'll go again, just make sure standard form that you know. Darn it. You know that standard form. Stop. That standard form is essentially when the terms are in order from greatest exponent to least exponent. So if you go so basically if you had something like negative 4x plus x3 minus x squared, well, if we were to write that in standard form, we would move the x3 to the front. It would become x cubed. What comes next? Well, the next highest degree is the 2, so it's a minus 2. So it'd be minus 2, and then we have the negative 4x, and that would be last since it's the degree of 1. And since it's negative 4x, it would be minus 4x. So that would basically be standard form there. All right. So again, some quick vocab here. Again, I'm not going to go too much into this. I'm also not going to go too much into this as well. I really wanted to get to the adding polynomials and subtracting polynomials. So again, when you're adding polynomials, basically what you are doing is you're combining like terms. And then when you're subtracting polynomials, it's essentially the first step of distributing the negative and then combining like terms. So let's combine these like terms here, all right? So you got yourself 3m. So what I would always say is start with the first term here, 3m to the third power. And then look throughout your problem, your expression for another like term. Again, same variable and same exponent. And what we find is, hey, look, there's another 3m3 here. All right? Now, it's kind of weird. This should be written over here, so it should technically be minus 3m to the third power. So what we would do here is, since it's 3m cubed plus a negative 3m cubed, which is the same as minus 3m cubed, if we do that, that is just 0. That cancels out both of our numbers and our variables. So it is just 0. Those go away. Those cancel out. And I'm done with those. And then let's go to the next one. Go to the next term. You got negative 10m to the fifth power. You look in your equation, see if there are any other m to the fifth powers. We see one right here, the negative 2m5, so we can do this. Again, negative 10m to the fifth power minus 2m to the fifth power, since we have this negative right here. If we do that, we get ourselves a negative 12m to the fifth power. Remember, when you're adding or subtracting variables and exponents, we do not add or subtract. We do not change the variables, or we do not change the exponents. The only thing that changes in front is the numbers or the coefficients out in front. And once we're done with them, I suggest you cross them out just to see, hey, I'm already done with these. I don't have to work with them again. Last thing we have here is negative 7. And that is a constant. What you want to do is look for another constant. And you see, hey, I got this negative 12 right here. I can do negative 7 minus 12 gets me negative 19. And then once that is all said and done, we just combine these into standard form, and that is our final expression when we add them together. All right, I'm going to pause it real quick so I can erase and so we can work out the next one. All right, so we're back to, all right, so now we're going to do subtracting polynomials. And again, I highly recommend distributing the negative. So literally, you have the negative here, distribute it to everything over here. And when you distribute it, that turns this subtraction sign into a plus sign, and essentially flips all the signs. So we have a c squared that turns into a negative c squared, minus 4c turns into a plus 4c, and then minus 3 turns into a minus 3. All right, so we have distributed the negative out. We have our plus sign here. We've changed all the signs inside of this second polynomial here. This first one here is not going to change, so we're just going to rewrite it down here. And then from there, it is the same process that we did over here. Start with this first term here. It's a 5c squared. Look for any other 5c squared, not any, just 5c squared, just c squareds, and we see that we have one right here. So we're going to go down here, just 5c squared minus c squared. Again, only do the numbers out in front. Again, no number out front just means there's a number 1, so literally just 5 minus 1 gives us a 4c squared. Cross those out because I'm done with those. Go to the 2c. Look for any other c's. I see that I have myself a 4c right here, so I'm just going to add 4c to that. Add the numbers out in front. Don't change the variables. I just get myself 6c. I'm going to cross those out because I'm done with those. Don't need them. Don't need to use them anymore. And then we have the negative 4, and that's your constant. No variables next to it. You want to look for any other constants. And you see, hey, right here, I got myself a negative 3. So right here, we're just going to add or subtract those together. Negative 4 minus 3 gives us negative 7. And if we go over here, I get myself 4c squared plus, this is a positive 6c, so I'm going to do a plus 6c minus 7. This is a negative 7, so I'm just going to write minus 7. And then that's it right there. Okay. And again, I highly recommend distributing the negative because again, I've seen way too many people that stick with the subtraction sign and they lose track of their negative numbers. and they don't see that they have to subtract them. So again, I highly recommend distributing the negative out to all these terms and then rewriting as a plus sign. All right, so multiplying polynomials. So a bit kind of odd with the layout here. Basically, and I'm actually going to, no, I'm not going to do that. But basically, when you're multiplying, you distribute. When you're adding, you remember you leave the exponents alone. So remember, when you are adding, that is when you leave the exponents the same, okay? Leave the exponents the same when you're adding. So let's work them out. So when you're multiplying, start with this first term here. You just distribute it, all right? Take this first term here. 3x squared multiplied by 4x cubed minus 5x plus 7. If you just have the one term multiplied to a polynomial or even a binomial, just distribute it. And then from there, you literally just do 3x squared multiplied by that first term there, 4x cubed. And then again, from this time, you multiply the numbers out in front to get 12. And then this time, remember that when you're multiplying variables, the same x's, we add the exponents. So again, 2 plus 3 is 5. Then we just add them when we're multiplying. Then we do 3x squared multiplied by a negative 5x. We multiply the numbers out in front, we get a negative 15. We add our exponents, we get x3, x to the third power. And then last but not least, I'm going to go over here for this. We do 3x squared multiplied by 7. Well, we only have a number here and a number here, so I'm just going to multiply those out, 21, and the x squared stays. So from there, what I do is I just combine these again into one final polynomial. I get 12x to the fifth minus 15x3. This is a negative, so I'm going to go minus 15x3 and then plus a positive 21x squared. All right. So I'm going to pause it again real quick so that I can erase and set up for the next problem. All right. So for example 4 here, it looks a little bit different, but it's still the same basic rules apply. Instead of having, just the one term that we did over here, we have now 2 terms being multiplied by 2 terms, basically a binomial multiplied by a binomial. Hey, sorry about that. So here we got a binomial multiplied by a binomial. So basically what we need to do is we need to basically take the first term here, this 3x, and we need to multiply it. Basically take this as we did over here and distribute it to all of these terms right here, okay? So let's go ahead and do that right quick here. Let's go over here, do 3x, and we're still multiplying by 2x. And if you're multiplying, multiply the numbers out front. 3 times 2 is 6. You multiply these exponents, we're just adding, multiply these variables, just add the exponents, we get ourselves x to the second power. And then we do 3x times the negative 1, so times the last one. We get ourselves just a negative 3x there, all right? Now I'm done with this 3x here, all right? I'm done distributing that. Now I move on to this 5 here. And the same thing that we did with the 3x, we're going to distribute it to all the terms over here. So let's go ahead and do that. Do 5 times a 2x. That one you just multiply the numbers out in front, 5 and 2, and leave the x behind, so you just get the 10x. And then just 5 times a negative 1, which is just a negative 5. And then from there, what we do, when we get to this point here, that is when we start combining like terms. So once we multiply them all out, we have all these terms, we just combine our like terms and then combine them into one polynomial. So we have the 6x squared. There's no other x squareds here, so I'm just going to write out 6x squared. Negative 3x, I see that right here I have myself a 10x, so I just do a quick adding of that. 3x plus negative 3x plus 10x gives me a positive 7x. And then I have a negative 5, which is a constant. I don't see any other constants in my list right here, so I'm just going to write negative 5. I have no more terms to combine, so that is that right there. All right. So that is basically the first unit topic there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll have more videos to watch as well over multiplying polynomials. So thank you, and have a good day.